we watched in terror. We were fearful, we were not happy because we had played under this trunk of this tree. It was like our family member. It was not a simple tree. It was like our great grandfather. Though our great grandfathers, they had died with the passage of time, but this tree, it was like a memory of them. So when this tree was cut with these saws and axes, we felt that some terrorist activity is going on, and we watched in terror and fascination this slaughter. We were also fascinated because when this tree was there, we had never imagined its hugeness. It's like, when thing is there, when a person of age, maybe our grandfather, great grandfather, when he is there before us, we never we never feel his or her greatness. But when he is no more, then we appreciate this thing, that what a what a kind of person was he, how great was he or she. So we were fascinated, we were charmed. The word fascination means we were charmed, and we also had the feeling of terror. So we watched in terror and fascination this slaughterhouses are there, where these cattle, they are slaughtered. So this tree is being cut, but the poet, he, in his mind, he considers this incident as a slaughter, as a massacre, and he says, as a raw mythology revealed to us its age. And the poet says that he remembers his grandmother, then other members of his family, who used to say, who used to narrate different stories about this tree in different manner. And this was this center of their, I mean, their life, because every incident became in the, which became in their house. This tree was a witness of that. This tree had seen the births and deaths of many family members. It had laughed with them, it had wept with them, and uh, a, this was not simply a tree which stood in their courtyard, which stood in their garden or before their house, but it was like a great grandfather, just expanding its branches like a gentle human being, or who is always ready to bless the young ones. So the poet, he realizes as a raw mythology. I'm just giving you two words. Raw means which is not very refined. Raw means unrefined. So many things come to us through traditions, and they are simply truth, and there is no percentage of falsehood in them. So the poet says that through this mythology we had come to know about the age of this tree, and today, when this tree was being chopped uh, one step after the other, so I recall the reminiscences from that raw mythology. Soon afterwards, we left Baroda for Bombay, and now a change occurs in the life of the poet, because this house, this tree, was in the city of Banians, that means Vadodara. So they used to live in Baroda. He calls it Baroda. So after that, a change came, and from a small place like Baroda, the family shifted to a metro city, Bombay, and this change occurred after the cutting of this tree. Now here this tree symbolizes that the old tradition have died, the new world has arisen, and it also suggests a kind of major change which comes in the life, and this change happens here in the form that their family, which had been living in Baroda for decades and decades, now after the felling of this tree, this huge and giant tree, their family, they shift to Bombay, where there are no trees except the one which grow and seeds in one's dreams. Now in Mumbai, in old, earlier it was called Bombay, now its name has been changed to Mumbai. So he remembers, this poet says that this city called Bombay, it's a congested city, and in comparison to Bombay, Baroda was like a village. It was like a big village. So there was a lot of greenery, there were a lot of trees, there were a lot of gardens, and in Bombay there are no trees. Everywhere we have concrete jungles. Now in the present world, it has happened with most of the cities. Now if you go to cities, you don't find many trees, because trees are considered something which they grow in jungles, in forest. So in Baroda, in their courtyard, in their garden, they had these trees. These trees were cut, and now the family shifts to Bombay. In Bombay, as the poet says, there are no trees, but the trees actually physically they do not grow, because a tree grows only when we have lot of space. When we have space for garden, then only we can grow a tree. But here in Bombay, it's not possible to grow a tree except in our minds, because our childhood was passed under the shadow of that banyan tree. That banyan tree has been cut. It has been uprooted, but it has not been uprooted from our memory. In our mind, it is still there, and the poet says it grows and seeds in one's dreams. When we dream, that banyan tree, it emerges again and again in our dreams. Its aerial roots. He says aerial roots because these roots which happen to which they spread. So these roots, they have grown in our minds, looking for the down to strike. Now we have this mental tree. The physical tree has been destroyed, it has been cut, and the poet concludes this poem with this line that the poem, this tree, this huge banyan tree, it has been cut brutally, and as he says that it has been uh, massacred. So, but the thing is that though it is no more, but in our mind, its imprint is there, and this imprint is not easy to be removed. Generally, what happens? The roots which we have in our childhood, they always come with us, and wherever we go, we always remember our past, because it's not easy to forget the past. So the poet says that these roots are hanging in the air. The tree is there. Physically, it's not there, but in our minds, mentally, it is there. In our dreams, this tree again and again it arises, it takes a concrete shape, and its reminiscences, its memories, they are not easy to be washed away. But when it comes to take a shape, so he says its aerial roots, they are looking for the ground to strike. Now, it is not finding a ground, it wants to have a space. It is there, it has become immortal in our mind. But physically, it's not possible to plant a tree like banyan in a city like Bombay, which happens to be a congested city, and uh, it is so much populated city that here, along with people, trees can't live. Now, those days when this poem was written, when this poem was composed, Dilip Chitre was talking of these cities of that time. Now, if you see the condition of uh, present world, now nearly every city has this problem, because in no city we are left with gardens, and those cities which are known for their greenery and their gardens, etc., even they are losing their luster. And the earth as a whole, including our country, our state, our areas, now trees, they are shrinking day by day. They are cut legally or illegally. Legally, because the colonies are spreading, the new societies, they are uprising, because every person, he has this right to have a house, and in case he wants to have a house, then naturally these trees have to be cut. Now this process is a continuous process. So the cities are increasing, the villages are shrinking, the population is shifting from villages to cities, and they are leaving their villages with a heavy heart, because in villages they don't have these, the people don't have permanent source of income. They are losing their agricultural land for our own needs, for the needs of education, health, employment. They more and more people nowadays, they are shifting towards big cities. And this process started when India became independent, because at that time it was advocated that which model is to be implemented, whether we should develop cities or whether we should develop our villages. But then, because of some conditions, it was decided that industrialization would give employment, it would provide employment to our huge population. Because as we know that our country, it's a densely populated country, and here the main problem is that of employment. We, all of us nearly, we love and like agriculture, but this is not easy to live in village and do agriculture. So they are in the rural background, these trees are there, and these trees in rural background, they are like family members, and they are in I have seen some of the places, they are also named, they are given, they are called by different names. So they are simply trees, but the family members have their emotional attachment. And the poet here, since he is emotionally attached to this tree, so he does not like the cutting of this tree, and he is in a helpless and helpless situation because he cannot stop his father, who in no condition he wants to, he he's not a he's not in such a position that he should listen to somebody, and he wants to disconnect the past with the present because his father is looking at future. He does not have his eyes towards past. He says, according to him, according to his father, it has become necessary to cut these trees because they want to shift to some other place. So this poem, it shows a continuous change of not only poet, his mind, his family, but it shows a continuous change of the whole country. Our country, again I remind you, it's considered a rural country, but now these cities are getting overpopulated, the villages they are deserted, and they are more and more people they are shifting towards cities. So they come, but they feel that they are away from their natural background, but simply just for employment purpose they have to leave everything. The poet does not like this journey. He is of such temperament that he wants to live in the lap of nature, but they have been forced to leave this place. Now in this poem, if you see, this is a beautiful poem by Dilip Chitre, who was also a teacher, an emotional human being, a sentimental human creature, and he says he gives a lesson also that if this process goes on,